And howdy, howdy, howdy. How's everybody doing? Thank you for joining us tonight. Tonight, we're going to have somewhat of a little bit different topic, but it is going to go in line with what has been going on with our friend Aaron Smith Levin down in Clearwater, and also how this can affect you wherever you are if you choose to get into the world of protesting. I've done similar content to this in the past. But a lot of people have asked that we try to step it up and talk about this as well. And I think this is it's an important topic because we're talking about your safety and making sure that you don't put yourself in a situation where you can be in trouble. So let's say hello to some of our friends that are in the chat tonight. We got but copy first, Miss Susie Oberholtz, Peace for Pixie, Scooter Anti-Cult Report, my amazing lead mod, Laura Waldy. Thank you for being here. And as always, the amazing Selena. How are you doing tonight, darling? So let's go ahead. We're going to bring in our guest tonight. He is hailing from Sarasota, Florida. He is the reason why we do have the zebra mussel invasion of the United States, which is crippling the Great Lakes. Not quite sure how he brought him into the country. Apparently, he didn't have any luggage and was only wearing a Speedo, but we got zebra mussels because of this one. Sarasota Jerry, how are we doing tonight, brother?
Doing great, John. Thanks. I didn't know I was responsible for that. I'm really sorry. I apologize to you all.
Yeah, it's one of those things. They find every crack and crevice, so they get in there. And she is in Las Vegas, Nevada at this time, and we're very happy to see that she is still in one piece and hasn't been out crazy and up too much. You all know her by way of, hailing from Great Britain by way of Clearwater, Florida. She is the reason why Burning Man is called Burning Man. It was originally called Man Festival. She was the first on-duty nurse that was supposed to be there and forgot to bring penicillin. So that is why it is now called the Burning Man. So please welcome our friend, the Feralist of the Cherylist, Cheryl. How are we doing, darling?
Hello. Thank you for that wonderful introduction, John. Thank you.
As always, folks, if you haven't noticed, we're friends. We want to have a good time. We want to make it enjoyable. We want to create content that people want to see, but we also want to get messages out there. So, Geraldine, how you been doing?
Doing great.
Who's Geraldine?
I've been doing great.
Oh, Geraldine.
Cheryl, are you talking to Cheryl or me?
You.
Me? Oh, okay. I'm doing great. Everything couldn't be better, man.
Excellent.
Retirement really agrees with me. I
gave
up mowing my yard. I hire somebody to do it now, and I work a little bit at a gas station, and that's it, man.
That was me. I had to find something. I was just I stopped streaming. My schedule, I didn't have a schedule like I had before. I needed something that kept me going and kept me on pace. So I understand how that is completely. And Miss Cheryl, how is Vegas this evening?
It's actually really cold here. It's very, very chilly.
So, now, what do you consider cold?
If you're wearing sweats, if I can wear shorts and a little t-shirt, then it's fine. It's just normal weather. But if I have to put another layer on, but it's been in the 40s here. It's been pretty cold.
We've been dipping down into the 30s overnight, and it's 45 here right now.
No, it's been in the 50s. It's been in the 40s and 50s, but it's cold. I'm not used to Vegas being. I've only come out to Vegas when it's hot.
I'll tell you what.
Burning Man is usually in the summer.
Well, the last time the wife and I went, we flew out, and it was like 32 degrees here. We get to Vegas. It's in the 80s and the 90s. All we had were just windbreakers. We fly back into Detroit, and it's 18 degrees. And you talk about, it was like my first time going to Thailand. I get off the plane. It's a nice air-conditioned airport and everything. I get to the doors. The automatic doors open up. That heat hit me, and it almost knocked me right back into the airport. So The culture shock is incredible.
It's like that Florida heat, isn't it?
Oh,
Yeah,
real nice and humid. Yeah. You walk across the street to the Burger King and you'll get a yeast infection. It's that bad. So
right.
Yeah, it's nasty. Yeah. Oh. So let's see here. We got some more friends have shown up in chat. Let's see. We've got Indigo Twin is in here. Mischief Managed.
Hi, Indigo.
Janet from Another Planet. Mischief. Well, look who's here. Miss Sunrise Dawn with that beautiful dog on her thing there on her thumbnail. Peace for Pixie. I think I already said Peace for Pixie. Oh, well, you get it twice. So feel good about yourself. Let's see. Anna Marie Wilson is in here. So, all right. So, Jerry, how long have you been protesting?
Right at 2 years now, coming on 2 years. It
2
was
years?
in January, I think, of 2024. It was a couple of months before you came to Sarasota, Ron.
Okay.
I think you were there in March of 24, I think.
Well, we'd heard the rumblings of
23. I'm sorry, 23. Yeah.
We'd heard the
23,
rumblings of a guy from
23.
Sarasota before we got to Clearwater. So
it started
Cheryl,
with
what about you?
It started with Cheryl.
It usually does.
It was January. It was like the first week in January, I believe, when Clearwater George and Aaron just went out and they just videoed a little bit of the downtown, how dead it was. And all of us were sitting there going, wow, that's pretty awful. You know, I'm like, oh, I wish I could go down there and show that or something. You know, I always wanted to go out and protest. So then he texted a bunch of people in the area that he knew would possibly go out and protest. He's like, you know that little video I did earlier? Would you guys come out and do a little bit of that? We can just walk around and show how dead it is downtown. And I couldn't wait to find my shoes and get out there. And at first I was really scared because it's Scientology and I know what they're like. So I'm like, I don't know if I should be doing this. They might start stalking me, whatever. You know, I don't know what the hell they're going to do. But once I got out there the first time, it like popped the cherry and it took away that fear. And now it's nothing. Now it's just easy.
And I got to say, I started off, doing light stuff around here and doing a lot of online protesting. And then, I went down to Clearwater. We spent 2 days literally just walking rings around the flag and Fort Harrison, and then came back. We went over to Battle Creek and with Kelly Joe, and then found different places to protest here. It was a big difference for me. I went from being the person who's watching the protesters to the person who is one of the protesters.
Right. Yeah. In your case, yeah.
And I got to say, I probably feel, Jerry, you feel the same way. I mean, you start off, you have no idea what you're getting into, what it's going to be like, those kinds of things.
The first time I had been around Flag, I think it was maybe a couple of months before I started protesting. I was in Clearwater one Sunday morning, and I ate breakfast at one of the places on Cleveland there. And I walked around the Flag building and the creepiness of the place. It is truly a creepy place.
Oh, wow.
But they didn't throw up any red flags for me. I remember they unloaded a bus of Sea Org members right in front of me. I'm standing there trying to work my way through them on the sidewalk. They know
it's all now, don't they?
Oh, yeah. It's funny. One or two people can disrupt that entire base now.
Oh, yeah.
Just by being there. Yeah.
Exactly.
And they know who I am, and they know who Cheryl is because we've been followed, and they know who we are.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, even in the case of Chad and I, they knew when we went walking by the front of the Fort Harrison, turn that copyrighted music on. I didn't think we were really making any kind of impact into it, but apparently they had taken notice of us. So, yeah, I understand that. Now, you guys are mainly focusing in the Clearwater area. Are you also going into Tampa where they have the other COS properties?
Right. We did go one day. I know, I believe Aaron's been down there at least twice, but the Tampa org, we went down there one day and it wasn't really, really busy. But
Right.
we do need to go down there a little more because that's one of the places where they do try and recruit, bring new people in.
Right.
So that is something that we could potentially be doing.
Yep.
And we've all talked about it. It's just we've never kind of gotten over there because usually there's events and stuff going on here at Flag. I'm not at Flag right now, but there's stuff usually going on at Flag. So we try and concentrate on throwing a spanner in the works at the Fort Harrison.
Now, do they have
But yeah,
how big is their presence in Vegas? Do you know?
they have a celebrity center,
Oh.
but it's in a residential area. It's in these walled off houses.
Oh. Yeah.
It's in in neighborhoods because
Yeah.
it's a celebrity center. It's not a test center. It's
Yep.
not an org where people would come to do services. This is just celebrities. And it's really off the beaten path. It's really weird. Where, like Eric was telling me, where they've put it is a really strange place. We went down there last time I was here. And why would you pick up a celebrity from, like Caesar's Palace and drive them down this icky part of town through a neighborhood to go to a empty celebrity center, huge parking lot? There were 9 cars in the parking lot. That was it. But it was empty. You didn't see a soul.
Think about it. They feel they're the saviors of Clearwater, and you see how bad downtown Clearwater looks. So,
Right.
yeah, it's that's the things they're great at playing the end game of don't look there. Keep your eyes. Look at the video we're playing for you here as we're driving through this neighborhood with all these
Right.
rundown and boarded up houses and everything.
But like Las Vegas is one of the last places you would come to try and recruit people because everyone's coming here to do all the things. It's called Sin City for a reason.
Right.
People aren't in the mindset of, what about my spiritual journey while I'm here in Vegas? Let me get this pamphlet and follow through on this way to happiness stuff. Yeah, it wouldn't
I'll
happen
tell you
here.
what,
So
the wife and I, we enjoy the people watching in Vegas and Fremont
Yes.
Street. That's a great time. We loved Fremont Street.
that's the best. People watching in Vegas because you got people from all over the world.
Oh yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not just the Americas. You got people from all over the world. It's a really interesting spot. It really is.
Oh yeah. And Fremont Street is just fun from start to finish. They have a lot of great bands that are playing there for free. You have a lot of the impersonators out there and things like that. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah,
Thomas
there's a lot
wants to
going
know
on.
Thomas wants to know have there been any protests along where COS is trying to buy the road? I'd say that's right there by Big Blue, wouldn't you?
Oh, yeah.
They're trying to do that with Big Blue.
Well, no, it's in Clearwater. They're trying to buy that street.
Oh, are
South
they?
Garden Street. Yeah, South
Yeah.
Garden. That's why Brooks,
South Garden.
his campaign for Save the Garden is South Garden Avenue. They're trying to buy that little street so they can shut it all down. Right. And it's around the perimeter of the Superpower building. So, we want to build a LRH hall there so we can have banquets and feasts and for the 5 people that show up.
Yeah.
But they want to shut it all down so they can wall off and enclose themselves in. Do you know what I mean? That's basically what they're doing. So
But
Brooks
they don't
Gibbs
want us
is-
out front. They don't want us out front.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So
Because
Brooks-
would be a public sidewalk. So that's the last thing they want is us standing in the main.
Well, it
entrance
is
of
public,
Belmont.
and we charge for parking there, which is some kind of revenue for the city since we get none.
Right.
And they want to take that away.
Well, that's that's Clearwater has been letting this happen for how many decades now?
Right.
And it started off slowly and it's been building and building and building since they started. So I would not be surprised if they go ahead and okay it.
Right.
Then
And
next
then
thing
you
you
have
know,
people like Ryan Cotton on the city council, and you just have no,
right.
he's just giving it away, trying to. So we have to stop him, not just Scientology.
Yeah, it's it's very evident that the city of Clearwater, it seems like they're powerless. The citizens of Clearwater, you don't have a voice. They're going to put, they're going to do what they want to do, and you're just going to have to deal with it. So that's a sad
I,
point.
I
But
think I think some of these council people still don't understand that there aren't enough Scientologists in Clearwater. They think there's 15 or 20,000 in Clearwater.
right.
There aren't. There's not more than 2,000, and half of them can't even vote.
And then
They're Sea Org members.
and then you look at it from the standpoint of they have, the estimates are what, that they're at 20 to 29,000 members worldwide.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Worldwide now. Yeah.
Yeah. If they didn't have such rich, powerful backers, they would have been non-existent already. They'd be like those little startup churches that are traveling around in tents, but
It's
they've got
just right. It's just a couple of the whales keeping them alive now, like the Duggans and oh, hello, honey, and Nancy Cartwright. People like that, just giving millions of dollars just every couple of weeks, just handing over money. They're the only ones keeping the thing afloat.
Yeah. And that's a sad thing about it is that, when everything's built on lies, you may, like I've said before, you tell a lie enough times, it becomes the truth. And so you tell these people on the council, you want to remain on the council, then you need to do what we need you to do.
Yeah. Right.
How much are they donating to their, their campaigns, things like that? How much leg up are they getting from certain things? It's very easy with the people that are there that are non-org members who can go out and go to these public places. Well, hey, Jerry's a friend of the church. So, and Jerry has this great little bait shop that he owns. Make sure you go over there and, at least spend $10. Every one of you go and spend $10 and we'll go from there. And it makes it look like there's a whole lot more going on than there really is.
Exactly.
They're building this L. Ron Hubbard Hall, which probably will never hold more than 2,500 people at the most. And they claim to have, 8 to 10 million or 12 million people
I have no idea.
Worldwide. And they're lucky if they could get 2,000 to come to an event. And I know we've had a big influence on their graduation. We don't see as many people going in anymore.
Right, Jerry?
On their graduation.
Remember when we were out there for L. Ron Hubbard's birthday? And I mean, the folks that were showing up in $100,000 cars, $200,000 cars, he had people showing up in Bentleys and Rolls. These are the people who are keeping it floating.
Oh, yeah.
It's not the average person that's making 50 grand a year. They can't afford to keep up with what they've got. Exactly. Before we go too much deeper, Dusty got held over at work. He won't be off till at least 9:00. So that's why Dusty's not in here. So make sure you say howdy to Dusty. Yeah, it's but that's, like I said, until they give the salary.
That's his story. I heard that John Travolta wanted him for a rub down.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he did say something about buying that new massage table. So he's been wanting to try it out.
Yeah. He's busy, all right.
Yeah, they probably doing their favorite thing, reenacting scenes from Battlefield Earth or something. So, who knows what they're doing. Let's see. Mona Englert, do you think the whales will eventually stop investing? What are your guys' thoughts on that?
No.
I agree.
The pressure that's put on them, and they feel they are part of this. They really feel entitled to clearing their world. They are such a part. They've given so much already that I think it would be really hard to separate the Duggans or Cartwright or anyone like that from giving them money, handing over money, because it's the pressure that's put on them constantly. You guys have the money. You guys are the ones that are really helping us clear so it's that constant cult pressure.
Right.
Right.
And welcome to the overtime. Susie. Thank you for being a new member. Jerry, you look like you got something to say there, bud.
No, it's a cult. That's why these people keep giving money. It's a cult, and they're part of it.
And they will not. And I think, once they've invested so much money, I think that becomes, people get not just financially, but like emotionally invested. That money is power, and they've got so much power. So, and it's a hierarchy, the people that are in it really enjoy the the
power.
superiority that they get out of the whole thing. You know what I mean? They really do. So no, they're not going to give that up.
I really think it boosts Trish Duggan's ego to have a front row seat and go up and get a huge bowling trophy every year.
Absolutely,
That
absolutely.
and the videos that they put out, like when the hurricanes came through, and they were out there struggling to get through these deep waters that you found out was basically knee high. But you
Yeah.
know, they're down on their knees, acting like they're struggling to get through this water, and they're going to people's houses to take them water in an area that's flooded with water. So, you know, I mean, it just amazing stuff. Indigo, I don't think even the family will fight back. I'd be surprised if any of their wills give money to their family. It just goes to COS. I wouldn't be surprised. I'll give you an idea. There's a big thing going on now with a lot of the nonprofits that they're asking people to donate in their wills to them. You see it a lot with animal rescues, things like that, where they're, hey, if you can't give now, put us in your will, and that'll help us out when the time does come. So those are, you know, if they're doing that, believe me, if it's a moneymaker, do you think COS wouldn't do it? What you doing, Jerry?
Yeah. I'm absolutely sure. Is he okay? You okay, Jer? Yeah, I'm absolutely sure that's what's happening too.
You got a little,
you know, the family might be getting a little bit, but you're right.
I just had my back was better now. I got the chair. I got to sit back.
We're just making sure. Let's see questions. Does Roscoe enjoy the snow? No. Cheryl, you turned your phone off, girl. Jerry, is that new cream helping?
What is it this time, Jerry? My goodness.
What anybody's talking about?
Is it itchy, scratchy, chafy?
Studio with all that cream you keep getting. My goodness. All right. So when you guys are going to protest and it's going to be someplace new, what are the first things you guys are looking at?
Well, the first thing we look at, you want to go on the city clerk, somewhere in the city's website, you will find a place to go where you can look at where the public streets are and where private properties are. They delineate exactly where the building starts and the building ends. So it's always good for you to know where all the public areas are, where all the private areas are, where you can and where you cannot step. That's one of the first things you want to look at, so that you're safe, to keep yourself safe and your property. So for me, that's one of the first things I would do.
And as Tom Cruise I believe Tom Cruise calls you Jer Bear, isn't that? So,
right.
But,
Tom and me are like this.
I bet. So Mission Impossible, huh?
It's not impossible in Clearwater. Huh, Jerry?
Oh, man. How do I get on
You asked for it, don't you dare.
Dusty's usually at work. That's why Jerry has to take over duties. But usually if Dusty's in town, then he'll do it.
Yeah.
You know, this, I think people like Lori went on a site for the tax collector, and that's one of the best places in Pinellas County where Clearwater is to find out what's public and what's not. It actually shows you the line, and and you would swear that, you know, even if I stepped across and trespassed on their land, they have to issue me a trespass warrant.
Well, one of you know, and that leads into what I was going to say. For one of the first things that I do when I'm looking into this is I look into the laws of the state and the city. The city ordinances can be somewhat different, but you know, for the most part, your local ordinances can't be more strict than your state laws can be. All right, the next level up, you can't be more strict than them. Now, cities have certain things like BOCA laws, which are your residential laws, like you can't have X amount of signs in your yard. You can't build a radio tower without a permit.
Right.
Those kinds of things they pretty much have free reign of, and they're very hard to fight because the cities are allowed to do it. They say they they put it under the state of public safety is what they do with those. But that's the first thing I'm looking at. You want to look into things like, is the state that you're in a two-party consent state, or is it a singular party? Florida is a two-party consent state, but First Amendment rights give you the right to film from a public area anywhere that you can see. And that's how it was explained to me in police academy. If I can see it from a public space, then it's publicly accessible to be viewed. But if you want to interview someone or get into a conversation with someone, you need to let them know they are being recorded, and you need to get their consent if you're in a two-party state. And that's very important, because that's a way you can get bamboozled into things. Is you think you're talking to someone and you think you're having a nice friendly conversation. Next thing you know, they're filing a police report against you for not following the two-party consent laws. Yeah. And so it's very important that you look into these things. Everything's online nowadays. You can look it all up. I'm not an expert. None of us are legal experts on things, but we've done protesting. You guys certainly much more than I have. But the thing is, you want to look at what the laws are. And, if you need to, reach out to a legal center that might be able to give you some information. Let's see here. Indigo, just make sure you review the protest laws, recording laws of the city you're in. Absolutely. Right.
So, that's the next thing. That one's great, though. You got to look up the filming laws in whatever state, city, county you're in. Absolutely.
It's generally accepted that in most of the United States, that anything that you can be viewed from a public spot is right. You're able to film. But there are some gray areas, like if you're going to fly a drone, you can't fly a drone in front of somebody's hotel window. Like
those are falling under the state laws for the most part. Yeah. If you remember, I was going to come down and I wanted to bring my drone down to do some recording down there with the drone, because the Fort Harrison has those 8-10 foot tall. Yeah. What do you call those? Coquina or something like that, walls that they built down there. And so if we can fly the drone up, will the state law allow me to do that? There were things I had to do, like I had to get registered, had to get licensed if I'm going to use it for filming for YouTube. And even though my drone falls under the weight limit to where it doesn't require registration, it does require it if you're using it to make money. Now, I don't make any real money off YouTube, but if you make a penny, you're making income. And therefore you have to register, you have to go through all the processes. So you got to be careful with those kinds of things, and just make sure that you know what you're doing, what you're getting yourself into before you get yourself in trouble. Let's see, Indigo Twin. In Chicago, for example, you cannot film when you go outside a business, but you can record yourself outside on a public sidewalk. Chicago's got a lot of funky laws that back when we had there was a federal law that said, if I'm a police officer, I can carry either concealed or open carry anywhere in the United States. Chicago tried to fight that, trying to say, oh no, our city ordinance says you can't, and of course that didn't hold up well. But what you got to remember is they can still come and, take legal action against you, put you in jail if that's what the case is, make you wait it out, go through all this stuff, and then 2 or 3 years later, you finally get acquitted through a federal court or something like that. Yeah. But you've spent X amount of time and most of your savings trying to fight this. And these are the things you need to be aware of.
Chicago, Illinois changed their constitution back. I was born and raised in Illinois. They changed their constitution. It was right around 69 or 1970. And it was because of Mayor Daley and all that. They made Chicago and Peoria are both what's called home rule cities, where they actually have more power than the state has, which is generally how, like you said, John, most states work. In Florida, state law always trumps local.
Right.
Always.
And that's
Illinois is not like that.
Yeah, Indigo has been adding in there, and that's another good point that Indigo brought up, is the amount of people you're protesting with. If it's an organized protest, and under 50 people. Now, apparently this is under Chicago laws, but a lot of other states follow these kinds of laws. A small protest under X amount of people is an open First Amendment protest. You get to a certain point where it's going to have to require law enforcement to be there to make sure that it's orderly and well contained, make sure that people aren't attacking the protesters. Then suddenly you have to start getting permits. You have to start going through, all these different steps. And I don't know any city that makes it easy to get these kinds of permits. So if it's for protests and things like that.
That's why we've never pulled permits, because once you start doing that, now you got to keep doing it, and that's not the game I want to play.
Yeah. And so that brings me on to the next topic. Everybody say howdy to Tommy Tone Toontown.
Tommy Tone Toontown. Oh, I said it.
Hey, you got it first time. That's pretty good. I had to say it in my head like 5 times before I can get it out right. I kept wanting to say Tommy Toontone, but that's
what I want to say.
One of the things I like looking at is I want to look at the area where I'm going to be doing the protesting, not for the laws, but I want to know what is that area like.
Right.
One of the things that we were planning there for a while, we wanted to do protests in downtown Detroit around the Detroit org. The problem is that you need to do it in the daytime, broad daylight daytime. You don't want to do it at night. Everybody's like, well, Detroit empties out after 5 o'clock. Yeah, but the people that are still there are the ones who are coming out of the shadows because the sun's gone down. You want to be very careful. Detroit does have some nice areas. They do have some great areas if you want to enjoy some nightlife. It really started turning the town around. But I'm still very cautious, very careful. I worked for the Detroit Police Department. I know how Detroit can be. Those are the things you want to look at when you're planning your protests as well. You want to make sure that the area you're going to be in, is it safe? Is it well lit?
Right.
What kind of people hang out there? Jerry, you and I were talking about this earlier. What were some of the things you're seeing, in Clearwater?
Oh, we've Cheryl backed me up on this. It seems like every other week, at least, we get some lunatic showing up. Well, some of them are just out and out lunatics, but some are a little what you just consider sketch. But we're right down by the bus stop there, and city bus stops. Anybody that knows this will, in any kind of a sizable town or city, will tell you that bus stops are usually some of the people hanging around there are usually a little sketchy anyhow. I mean, it's not that most of them are very decent people, but it's where a lot of homeless hang out, and people with drug and alcohol problems, because there are restrooms there and there's a place to sit down, and they have a right to be there, but it's also, you can get some mentally ill people there. You have to watch out. Be a little careful.
Well, and Cheryl, your experiences with that?
Yeah, there are some houseless people around there. On the whole, Erica usually talks to. She knows all of the ones that usually walk around. She's talked to all of them. Other than that, it's quiet. Yeah, other than some of the people from the bus station, it's quiet. Or people going to one of the concerts, either at the Capitol or at the Sound.
Yeah, I mean, from what I've seen from the protesting there in Clearwater, is it seems like you have to be more worried about the Scientologists than you do.
Oh, that's it. That's the only thing we have to be worried about are these the security guards who are still wearing masks, follow us around. And to me, I really feel that they're up to something, because Mateo on his little bike keeps going up to all the guys, not me. I don't think he's gone up to Erica, but he keeps going up to the guys, yelling at them, "You're harassing people." So I wanted to ask you, John, when you're protesting and sharing information, how can it be deemed harassment, just speaking in the street to someone?
Well, we talked about that before, about him going around screaming, "Stop harassing me," and things like that.
We've all done that. Yeah, it's not just him. We've all done that in the past, right?
It's not so much about the proof that you're doing it. But it goes back to what I was saying about if you tell a lie enough, it becomes the truth. You got
Right.
30 straight days of this person going around on the bicycle screaming at the protesters, stop harassing me, stop harassing me. And all they show is that video. Then it looks like every day for 30 days, this guy is going down there doing his job. And this bunch of awful, horrible protesters, like the one who's dressed up in the alien suit and stuff like that,
Right.
are out there, and they're harassing him. They're opening bags of chalk powder and it's blowing over on him, and he's suddenly caught, sepsis from it, those kinds of things. So it's all about perception. Now,
It's perception, isn't it? It's perception.
Well, now think about it from this standpoint. You take this to your big money people and you say, hey, this is what's happening at our number one base, at the Flag, at one of our most prominent places. They're doing this to our people, to our security, to the people that are just there trying to be part of their own religion, practice their religious beliefs. And we need more money. We need more security. That's a great way to bring up the money. It's,
Right.
It's not always about trying to, prove that you're actually harassing them. It's about the actual perception of what's going on there. So those are things
It's all perception.
Yep.
And it's like that video they pulled, the one video they pulled, I'm telling you, it's perception. It makes it look like something it's not.
Right.
And yeah, it's all perception with them.
And, and I think Aaron explained it very well the other night when he was on with Marilyn, and he was on the phone from the jail there, where he was explaining about when he talked to his attorney about the fact that they only showed that one video. They aren't even in the point of discovery. So, the prosecutors basically it's like a, it's one of those situations where they can just basically bring in what they want and try to show that their side is right on what they're saying, and it would have been
I want to see the other camera angles. I want to see all the other camera angles on that then. Every single one. It would have come
down to Aaron having to have all the other video to show, and is the judge even going to be willing to sit there and watch all the other video?
Exactly. Oh, but she's willing to watch that one and make all her decisions off of one that she watched once.
But you were there. You saw what kind of judge she was. She's not exactly the most, from what I hear, she does not appear to be the most sensitive and willing to listen to people. It sounds like in a lot of cases, she's made up her mind before the person even gets in front of her.
Absolutely. And she said it like to 3 different people. I've been doing this for 30 years. You think you can get one over on me? That little girl is drinking. No, that little girl is puking in a bucket right now in front of you. She's got celiac disease. Her mom's just walked up to the bench, approached the bench to ask you, please. She really is a sick person. She's not a bad girl. Yes, she did have some alcohol that night. It was a mistake. She's sick. She can't drink anyway. We're trying to prove it. And the judge just wrote the mother off.
Well, see, this is when you take the actual evidence that she is ill and the fact that the judge has no common decency to even show this girl some consideration, and you take it before the State Bar Association, you take it before the Judges Commission, and you say, what kind of person is sitting on the bench that can't even show the simplest of compassion for a 16-year-old child?
Yeah.
It's not like she went out and was, out there at a huge event, hurt a bunch of people. We're talking about a 16-year-old girl who appears to have some kind of but physical disorder where her body ferments the food within her, creating an actual alcohol within her own body. Yeah. So, and that brings us to our next point. Indigo has been on topic tonight. Don't do what Indigo did and try to protest alone. No, take a person with you who can offer support, act as a witness. Luckily, nothing happening, but it was nerve-wracking. I can tell you that from personal experience. When I was out there at the closed down Scientology building here in Michigan, and I've got people coming out and yelling at me from the gas station next door. They aren't even part of Scientology, but they are certainly sitting there, you know, they're coming out, they're mad. We bought that. What are you doing over there? Well, it says it's for sale. So, you know, but those are the kinds of things that, you know, I was there by myself. Thankfully, I was live streaming while it was happening so I could cover myself. But
I was out jerk. I was in Clearwater, went through Clearwater yesterday, and I stopped at Flag and I always like to get my camera out because it freaks them out. But I was there by myself, but I don't do anything. If somebody comes down the sidewalk, I give them 15 or 20 feet. I walk away from them. I'm not there to protest in that situation. I'm just there to jerk them around and see if they follow me and things like that, you know. But you're right. If you're going to do some down and out protesting, you should have at least 2 people, and the more cameras, the better. That's why I don't live stream, but I got this. This is a high definition body camera. I clip it right here.
yeah.
And it has unbelievable sound and an unbelievable picture. And Erica taught me that because, you know, she got arrested. She was the first one to get arrested over some bogus standing in the street charge, which they never took it any further. But if she had not had that body camera on, the police, when they searched her, were surprised that she had that on her belt. And I don't think that they expected that.
No.
And to have everything recorded.
Yeah.
And it wasn't from their point of view, it was from hers. And everything, they couldn't mute a conversation. They couldn't do anything. It was all recorded.
Yeah.
Yep.
And he goes, oh, geez, she got a body camera.
And I would suggest that if you're using a body camera or any recording devices that you have, make sure they're uploading to the cloud so they can't just remove the SD card from it and that evidence isn't there.
Oh, right.
You know,
well, yeah, you shouldn't go out protesting on your own when it comes to Scientology.
Absolutely.
It's because how sneaky they are.
Yep.
They will try something.
Well,
they will try something. Like I know like they used to do this a lot more back in the earlier days of protesting. Like Jenna talked about it. Some of the Sea Org members would like drill and act as if they got hit or they were hurt or they got knocked over in any way. You know, they'll walk by us and they could throw themselves onto the floor and act as if we touched them. And they'll be so proud of it. Right. They'll be proud of being able to get us in trouble. So they're very sneaky and underhanded, and these are the things they could do. So if you're out there on your own, they could try something like that on you.
Yep.
Yeah, they didn't do that to Erica. They just told the police, you know, they just wanted her information, basically, I think. And that's what happened.
Who was it that got attacked from behind walking down the street in LA there? Wasn't that Chris?
Was it Danny?
I thought it was Chris.
Oh, Confident Chris. Well, the guy actually, he just kind of came up to him and whooped him. But I think Danny also got attacked from behind, I think. And he got run over with the scooter guy and still got in trouble for it. Yeah. So the guy with the scooter, for example, that's it right there on Danny. He pushed him with the scooter. He went right across his feet on the scooter. And Danny still lost, I believe. They'll try anything. So especially if you're out there on your own, it's best to have another camera on you, you know, have someone else around you with another camera, keeping an eye on you while you're keeping an eye on them in case of approaching targets.
Chris with a Hellcat.
Chris without a Hellcat.
Okay.
That's him. No, it was Confident Chris that got beat. I mean, he lost one of his teeth. We had to raise money.
One of them was walking and got hit from behind. I remember that.
I think that was Confident Chris.
Was it? Okay. The Journey 2020, the Sacramento org staff was trying to say my hello was threatening. And that's another thing. The fact that they say, you know, they're going to make it, from what I've seen, everything that they do, they are the victim and you are nothing but some person who is doing terrorist kind of actions against them.
The victimizer, right.
Hola, Penche. How we doing, darling?
We love you, Becky.
In Scientology, you're not allowed to be a victim until you are. And as long as you can use it,
Yeah.
for the greater good, then they don't mind if you're a
Here's an
victim for a
interesting
little
one. I
bit.
just found out I have a Scientologist in my apartment building. They tried to talk to me about it, so I didn't say a word and walked away. Well, it wouldn't be the first time, depending on how dangerous they consider you.
Scientology's learning too, because 3 or 4 weeks ago, a woman was walking into Flag and she grabbed our cult sign and started dragging it up the stairs. And one of their security guards stopped her and said, "You can't do that."
Wow.
Because it wasn't on their property.
Don't most apartment buildings have no solicitation signs?
Most of them in LA do, yeah. Most do.
Now, when you're, when you're doing this stuff, Jerry, you were talking about it, and the story from when Chad and I visited Clearwater is pretty well known. We left out and we're heading back to our hotel, and I noticed that this vehicle was at the parking lot behind us when we left. Every turn I made, they made. Chad was, at first Chad didn't believe it, and I'm like, well, look in your side view mirror, watch that car, 2 cars behind us, watch every time I change lanes, watch what they do. And suddenly he looked at me and he's like, they really are following us. And then he really found out when I cut up a side street and they followed us up the side street, and we did basically a U-turn back up to the main road we were on. Jerry, you just had an incident recently yourself. You know how it feels.
Yesterday, they followed me, a woman in a green SUV, and it was so obvious. But like you said, sometimes they want to make it obvious that they're following you. But then I lost her pretty easy. She wasn't very good at it. But then Ricardo, I still call Joey Meatballs.
I know, that's his name. I'm sorry.
He's a private detective, and he does a lot of their dirty work for them that they don't want to come out and do.
What you should have done was just throw on your sister's habit and the cloak.
Yes.
And parked your car and got out and just stood there with your back to her and watch her drive by.
I would have done it.
And then turn around.
I don't know who named Joey Meatballs. Joey Meatballs, was that you, Cheryl?
I did.
Yeah,
that sounds like a feralist kind of language there.
So for years, driving by that building, I would always see him outside. I'm like, my God, every time I come to Clearwater, even if it's years past by, it's the same guy. And he's been wearing that same toupee and the same jacket since, I don't know, when I started going to Clearwater. I don't even remember.
Right.
So then The Sopranos happened. And the next time I drove by, I'm like, oh my God, he looks like something straight out of The Sopranos. And Joey Meatballs came into my head. So that's what I started calling him. And it kind of stuck. Well, but his name is Humberto Ricardo de Quevedo, something, blah, blah.
Yeah, Joey Meatballs is a little bit easier. Rolls off the tongue a little better, So
it rolls off the tongue way easier.
Yeah, he is not a Scientologist. He owns a detective agency. But he just bought a brand new black BMW.
He said to me, watches me.
SUV, so that's what he was following yesterday.
I mean, he might as well have just went out and bought a Ford F-350, jacked it up, put it on 48-inch tires with the loudest exhaust blowing black smoke out the tailpipe. Exactly. He would have been just as easy to miss. A black BMW. Come on. The Journey says that was their answer to, if I said any threats, I got a trespass without ever being on property. They were angry. I still hung around because the Sacramento org thought the sidewalk was theirs. Well, of course they do. That's how it's been. But folks, remember, this goes back to the very first thing. Know the laws. Some states can trespass you without ever stepping onto their property. Yeah. They can say, I don't want this person on my property. I don't want them around me. I feel that they are a danger to me. And they don't have to give any proof or rhyme or reason. It's just like with most businesses, a business can refuse to serve you for any reason at all. Right. So you have to be very, very careful about these things, because it will happen and it can happen. And thank you, Susan, for becoming a member. We appreciate you and welcome to the Joey Meatball's got a thing for the Feralist, huh?
I think Raider better watch out. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Joey
No,
Meatballs has got a thing for Cheryl. I think he secretly has this thing.
there's no
Yeah.
threat
Eric,
whatsoever.
watch out. You about to lose it, son. You better step that game up, son. So let's see.
I doubt that very much.
And also, let's see here. I think I just missed it. There we go. Also, Susan, thank you for those 5 gifted memberships. And if you're one of those folks that got one of those memberships, make sure that you show your support and tell her thank you for that. We really appreciate that. That only helps to grow the community, helps to keep the channels going, gets everybody start coming together. And, you know, with the memberships to different channels, also all these different live streams, the different channels that are out there, hitting that like, you don't have to hit the subscribe, just hitting the like and commenting helps to grow the algorithm. That's that many more people we can get these out to. And that's the most important part. It's not about how much fun we're having, not about, you know, all the different things that are going on between us. It's about getting the message out there to the world. The more people we get it to, the more people are protected and they start looking into things. And look who's here. Cajun Mama has joined the ranks. That's awesome. Oh, there we go.
Nice wig.
Zella
Nice.
Quixote. I'll super chat the next Clearwater protester that says to Joey Meatballs, nice wig.
Oh, that's happening. That's so happening when I get home. It's so happening. I have
Zella,
no
does
qualms doing that.
Will rug also fall into that as well? Because that could be another term for a toupee.
Yes.
So
Hey,
When you
John.
fly away on that rug, Aladdin, yeah, anything like that, yeah.
Hey, John, I don't know whether you heard this story or not, but about 2 or 3 months ago, I bought just went to a.
Wait a minute, can children hear this story? Because some of your stories get a bit spicy.
No, this is there's nothing spicy about this one. I went and bought a vest and a blue tie like the Sea Org members.
Oh yeah, okay.
And so I'm dressed up like a Sea Org member, and I get there and I'm walking across the parking lot across from Flag, and they have a guy out there to direct people away from the protesters and direct them into the Flag building and then across the walkways to the Fort Harrison so they don't have to walk by us. The guy comes up to me and he says, "Hey, are you headed to the Fort Harrison?" And I said, "Yes." And he goes, "Well, you need to go in the side door over here to avoid those people over there." And I should have thought about it because I could have gotten in that building.
Oh yeah, but you could have gotten in so much trouble.
Oh too. Yeah, but it would. Well, I think all they could have said was, "You got to leave." But
yeah, have you ever?
I said I am one of those people, and but I said later. I said,
was that the guy who asked you? You ever seen a grown man naked?
No.
Do you have any candy?
Could you imagine the flap, especially if David Miscavige was in the building?
Do you have any Italian in you? Would you like some?
I think the guy didn't quite put it that way.
Indigo brings up another good point, and this is really good about knowing your laws. Right. You can cite when COS is breaking them.
Exactly.
It's all going to be dependent on how willing the police are to act on it. But I mean, think about it. The police come up and tell you, "We don't like you chalking out here in front of this place. It makes the city look bad." Well, wait a minute. They've got a sandwich sign right here that is on a public sidewalk, and city ordinance says they're not supposed to. That's not going to look real good for the police when they're like, "Well, no."
Erica had the best point. Erica had the best point to the police. They came over one night and tried to tell us that Scientology keeps complaining that we're chalking the sidewalk. Well, it's a public sidewalk, and it's just chalk. And that they have to spend a lot of time cleaning it up. And Erica goes, "It's a public sidewalk. They're under no obligation to come out here and clean a public sidewalk."
Right.
It's not like the easement in front of your home where you have to keep the grass mowed. Yeah. It's not like that.
Right.
There have actually been cases where people have brought civil suit against cities because the cities say you don't own that. That's public property, but are requiring people to spend their own money to mow it and maintain it. So they went and they sued the local municipality, and there have been judgments that's saying, well, if you're telling them it's not theirs, they can't dictate what's going to happen on it. You can't tell them they got to maintain it. So
Right.
that's
I kind of agree with that. That's a bit cheeky. Yeah.
yeah.
They're under
Well,
no
you know what?
obligation to come out and clean it up, and it's going to rain anyway. It's Florida, and it's going to wash away eventually.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I've heard that from a lot of people who've been friends with Jerry. There's some things you just can't unsee.
I know.
So,
Harry too. And the judge also mentioned that too. She's like, I don't like your chalking. I took umbrage to that. I don't know how Erin felt about that, but I took umbrage to that. And it's like, well, lady, that's a protest expression. It's you
know
can't
what?
tell me I can't do it.
Let me tell you
tell me I
something.
can't do it.
A police officer can like or dislike whatever they want. That doesn't mean they have a right to enforce upon it.
No, they can't.
And to be honest with you, as police officers, we are supposed to be required to not allow our personal feelings to, number one, engage in how we're acting. But number two, we're not supposed to be out there telling people, I don't like you. I don't like what you're doing. That's not
Because then make me a cop, because I'll be a great cop.
That
I'll go around telling people all day.
That right there shows a biased feeling towards someone. And that shows that, can I trust this police officer? If they're sitting there telling me, I don't like you, I don't like what you're doing, then that means the first chance they get, and they may go over the line and say, well, this person did this, and I felt that. Well, who cares how you felt? Was it a violation of the law? And I think it's a BS statement when they go, well, you can fight it in court. That's a completely BS statement.
Right.
And that's why if you feel that a police officer they've been biased in what they're doing and they did something they shouldn't have done to you, by all means, every state has a commission for law enforcement accreditation, and bring the proof, bring your video, bring the different things that officer's doing. That officer isn't doing their job right and they shouldn't be acting a certain way. What's the state going to do about it?
Yeah. And we had 2 or 3 of the cops in Clearwater. And most of them have been decent to us, always.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But we've had 2 or 3 that were real jerks. And we got so much bad publicity for the Clearwater PD. I think they finally just said, hey, we're pulling out. There isn't anybody going to work for them for Scientology anymore.
Well, I've expressed my thoughts on that. I don't think it's a matter of they're pulling out because they are tired of the bad publicity. Right. I think that they've gotten to the point where they're just like, oh, well, it's bad publicity. I think that it's more of, you bring the state in, the state has a lot more ability to start bringing different charges. That's why that's my feeling on it. And that's why I keep telling you guys, be careful, be careful, be careful.
Right.
Let's see. With a lot of police these days, they use the process as a punishment. Well, it's not the police. It's the whole system. The police are the bottom rung of that system. The police officers enforce, but it's the prosecutors, it's the legislature, it's all them. They are the ones who bring the process forward. And Thomas, that is an excellent point. I've talked about that many times. Fighting in court means paying money and time that you just want it to go away.
Yeah.
And that's how a lot of people are. If you go to a lot of courts, especially on traffic ticket days, there will be a line all the way out the building. Person after person will come up to the prosecutor. Prosecutor will look at it, look at their record, and go, okay, I'm going to offer you blocking traffic. It's going to be $150 per se. It'll be $150 in court fees. It's not going to go on your record. It won't affect your insurance, and you're all done. And people are like, you know what? I'm just going to do that. It's quicker. It's simpler. Right. But if you want to fight me, you could end up paying as much as $500 in fines. It's going to go on your record. It's going to affect your insurance. So it's going to cost you long term. Yeah. So that's how these things work. And Susie, that's my feeling as well. The state being there scares me. So Um, let's see. Yeah, there you go. I just watched a video where a sheriff's deputy got into trouble for detaining someone for filming him and refusing to give their ID. The cameraman was a retired cop and knew his rights. Well, that wasn't me, but that's how it works. You have to make sure you know your laws, folks. Make sure
The
you
one
know
thing,
your laws.
the one thing I
Yes.
will agree with you, John, is it seems a little strange that the state police are there instead of they didn't step up and go to the county next for
Right.
off-duty people.
Yeah,
Unless they did, and the county said no. I don't know.
well, I mean, Cheryl, you were the one who said it, that the county has
Yeah.
said we're not going to get involved. That's
Right.
Clearwater's business, right?
Exactly.
So yeah, I would see the county, saying, nope, not our problem. We tried to help you guys out before. You told us that it's your city, stay the hell out. So, I could see that kind of thing happen. It happens in a lot of places where you have sheriff's departments butting heads with the locals. But yeah, the state coming in, that worries me. It
Yeah, we
really
just
worries
have
me about
to
things like that.
like really, mind our P's and Q's. And that's why you got to look up your laws, your state and local laws, to see what you're going into, what you can and cannot do. We
Yep.
can't post any posters like the Flavio, those beautiful Flavio flyers that George made. We can't post those anyway. You're not allowed to put anything up. You're not allowed to use extra sound amplification. So no megaphones, no whistles.
Which I find it
nothing.
interesting. They're allowed to blast music,
Right.
That's
So-
fine. That somehow isn't interrupting their services, but me talking loud is.
Yeah, they've really kind of stopped the music now. I think they found out that didn't work either because it really doesn't bleed over into your mic too much.
No, it doesn't. If we stay on the other side, and so it's wonderful because Erica gets her dance moves in, and we all get a show. Erica gets to do her little Disney dance, and it's a great show.
And this, I don't know, Thomas. I've never heard of it. Jerry, have you ever heard of it? Cheryl saying no. Have you anyone being accused of being under the influence while protesting?
We get snookered afterwards.
Yeah.
But there's been a couple of people that have showed up that weren't protesters. Like I said, kind of sketchy that are under the influence of some kind of drugs or alcohol. We had the fire department out there one night for some woman that came up and started rolling around on the ground, but she wasn't even a protester. She was just nuts.
I could smell the alcohol on her, and yeah. But no, not us. We get there clear-headed and all shiny, ready to protest, and then we go out afterwards and have a soda.
Yeah,
I find this interesting. We have had no calls for police in the past month. State police is only there hired by Scientology for overtime security. A lot of states that I know of will not allow state troopers to be hired for those kinds of conditions.
Oh, really?
It has to
Is
be
it because it's
something that's an
political?
actual state event.
Is
a lot
it kind
of
of
them don't allow
political?
it. Yeah. I mean,
Religion and government.
Yeah, like the state fair, something like that. They'll allow them to work overtime as security for those kinds of things. But a lot of states that I've seen will not allow the state troopers to go out and do that. And from, knowing state troopers, working with state troopers, a lot of them, it's a matter of when you start doing that, then you start putting influence on there. So on those troopers. And Electric Boogaloo, how you doing?
Love that name.
A couple of times, the Clearwater cops, a couple of them I tried to shame. I said, you're working overtime. I said, what are you going to tell your grandkids someday when they ask you what you did as a policeman? Oh, I worked for a human trafficking cult. And, I try to shame them. I said, do you really know what goes on in there? Do you really know?
You know what? And that's one of the things is hindsight's always 20/20 on these kinds of things. I mean, how many people have befriended folks? I mean, we've done it here in this community where we've befriended, we've brought people in with open arms to have them turn around and put a knife right in our back.
Yes.
So, and that goes on to a point that Cheryl brought up before we started the live stream. One of the things, you may not like how I do my videos. You may not like how Sharon protests. You may not like some of the seedy stuff that Jerry gets into.
Oh.
But we don't need to be attacking each other. We're supposed to be a community. We're supposed to be supporting each other. All right. And if we allow this toxicity into our community, look what it's done already. Look how many people turned and walked away. Just in the matter of the Aftermath Foundation and what happened between a lot of us in the Aftermath Foundation, how many people immediately there was a divide that started going on. All right. And a lot of people walked away. And then it's just gotten worse as it has. So, you know, one of the things we need to stay away from is attacking people. I don't like how Aaron did it. Aaron got exactly what he deserved. Doesn't, you know what? I mean, if that's the answer I've got to give, I'm going to say it to Aaron. All right. I'm not going to come on here and try to defame him. Now, there are certain points like, well, this happened. Well, by the law, from my viewpoint as a police officer, that appears to be a violation of the law. I'll say that. That's not defaming Aaron. That's making a statement of fact. The law says you can't do this. You did it. From my viewpoint, from what I've seen, which also goes back to the point of the video that was shown against Aaron in court. Will another video show me something different? I'm at least willing to say, hey, from what I saw, it made me think this way, but seeing this, I see that it's not the way that it was presented to me. You know, you can have differences with people, but we need to act as a community, and we need to try to work together as a community.
And it's ultimately up to a jury. It's ultimately up to a jury, and it will be up to a jury in Aaron's case.
It's just going to cost you a lot of money to get to that point. That's the sad thing about it. RCMP, we're not permitted to do pay duty assignments for third parties. Yeah. That's you know, that's the reality of it, folks, is that I have real questions about that. I'd like to know what Florida's state police are, you know, are they being paid? Are they being paid off duty? And if they're being paid off duty, why are they in a state police uniform? And are they using state police vehicles to do so?
I know in Florida, I've hired, I used to run an organization where we'd have dances and hire Sarasota police officers, and they came in their cars in uniform. They were allowed to do that in Florida, I guess.
Yeah.
This was 30 years ago. You know.
And yeah, I mean, Susie, I have a trooper friend in Oklahoma. I asked him, he shook his head and smiled, said they need to be careful. That's exactly what I'm going back to about the bias that comes in with those kinds of things. And you have to be careful about that.
Mike Rinder even has made the statements on videos before that they safe pointed, hired these cops to safe point, you know, and they get these cops on their side because they all that money coming in. Man.
Well, that's part of, and Cheryl, having been in and been part of the Scientology world, you know what safe pointing is. You know how it works.
Totally.
You know,
and
that's
they don't even know they've been safe pointed. Do you know what I mean? They've just been, they've just been pulled into the web, and well, they're a religion, and these people are mean. They're going against them. You know, it's the very superficial. It's at a very superficial level. But if you look a little deeper, they'll understand why we're out there and what the hell's really going on. But it's just all superficial, unfortunately.
But if those folks are making their boat payments for you.
Yeah.
You know,
right. Why are you going to complain? If it ain't broke, why fix it? Exactly.
Yeah. They just paid for my daughter's ballet classes or gymnastics, you know. I mean, that's the problem with it. You start becoming dependent on that, and it's a problem.
Yeah, exactly.
I got to take offense to something Dusty's saying here. He says he's been off for 8 minutes. Dusty, you've been off for years, buddy. What are you talking about? You know,
of his rocker.
So yeah, I don't know who you're trying to fool there with that garbage, but hey, that's how it is. So all right, now I don't know if you guys know if they're still going or not over on Aaron's channel. I know that Streets was on there.
Yes.
Okay. So
at 8 o'clock, and I don't know what standard time anywhere I am in the world. Natalie was coming on with Streets.
Okay.
And they want to talk about the whole Aaron situation. So I don't know if it's happened, or it's
it's going on right now. I just put the link in the comments there, folks. Folks,
Room rate.
again, yeah, again, folks, we're not experts in this, okay? But we have
No.
been out, we have protested. These are things that we think about when we're doing it. Cheryl definitely has probably the most experience in protesting, and then it'd be followed by Jerry, and then I'm a distant protester behind that. But the fact is that we've done this, we've done it more than once. These are the things that we look at. I personally, I feel that I'm maybe a little more cautious than most people, just simply because of my background. And I never
Right.
want to put myself in situations where I can discredit my history and my ethics. But it's, everybody has to do it their own way. You're going to have to make your own decisions. Jerry, your thought?
Exactly.
If you're thinking about protesting, don't let a little bit of fear stop you from standing up for what you think is right. We have a
Right.
lot of fun out there too. I've got to mention that we have a blast out there,
Yeah.
and I've met some absolutely wonderful people.
Hey, now I
and-
don't think you should be calling Cheryl a pro, and I don't know what a vote is.
oh,
That's Cheryl. That's not nice. It shouldn't be calling you things like that. No.
Oh, that's my roommate, and she knows I'm a pro.
Look, an amateur with professional skills would be a better.
That's
feeling.
more like it.
There
That's
you go.
more like it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
You realize what you did, but I still don't understand what a vote is. So we'll have to talk about that later.
You're gonna find out.
I don't have Urban Dictionary pulled up, so I don't know what these things are. So, Cheryl, your thoughts on these, hon?
Right. So if you want to go protesting, make sure you know the local laws, the local guidelines, local rules, so that you don't mess up. Look up where the public spaces and private spaces are, so you don't mess up. And just do your protesting. Now, one thing I want to mention too, I want to bring up that I've protested for a lot of other things. I've been an activist for most part of my life. And this is the most emotional I get in this protest, because this has something to do, I've had a dog in this fight. This has affected me. So when we go out there, we're not just protesting and being a pain in the ass. We feel what's going on in there. We know what's going on in there. We were affected by that. And, like thoughts come. So sometimes we get a little upset being out there, which that's another thing I need to keep in check. I'm just talking for myself.
But you are human.
But
You're
that's
human.
it. I'm a human. So when I go out there and protesting, yeah, I'm trying to put on a great, some good content so people are interested. Spread some awareness, spread some information so people understand what's going on. But also when we're out there, when we've got some skin in that game, and that's why sometimes it can be a little more emotional than just a show.
Absolutely.
And
and
I just want people to
Cheryl will
remember
never
that.
Cheryl will never use an 8-letter word when a 4-letter one will do.
Absolutely.
Been quite well, quite versed in that. So
Thank you,
Folks-
Jerry.
folks, when again, this is all about safety, making sure that you're safe. Make sure
Yes,
that
safety.
what is it worth to you? Cheryl's case, it destroyed her family. All right. And she's been very vocal about how Scientology and what it did to her father and how that affected her family. The thing is that for her, this is very personal. It's very emotional. It's her way of trying to get back some of her humanity from this organization that has stolen so much from
Yes,
her.
that's it.
Myself and Jerry, we came into it for one reason, and it slowly morphed into more. The more we saw the people who are hurt by this, the people like the Lisa McPhersons that don't have a voice for themselves anymore. These are all things that we've been witnessing. We've seen what it does to people. And the thing is, what is the value to you in protesting? If there are some that have been accused of doing this because they want the clicks. All right. That's fleeting. Okay. Popular, you know how it is with social media. It comes and it goes. Certain people dig in and they become, very popular in this stuff. And yeah, they're going to make money. But the most of us, it's like Jerry with the OnlyFans. 1% actually make the money. Everybody else is barely making enough to pay for their internet connection.
I rake it in. Yeah. I rake it in, John.
Yeah, I've heard. Yeah, but that's not about the money you're making. That's about something else. But and I can talk to him. I'm sure that Sister Lilith, Sister Stephanie can be talked to by our friends here. I think that it may be time for a bit of a reunion coming back, and that we we bring back some different things.
We need mass. We need to have mass, brothers.
Yeah,
we must have a mass.
The amulet of power. So I keep it right here on the hook by my desk here. Oh yeah, we forgot about that. Yeah, Jerry and the foot pictures. Yeah,
making a lot of money.
Yeah,
don't everybody forget December 5th. December 5th is the Lisa McPherson 30th anniversary. We're going to be out there all day live streaming.
Well, we've all been. I don't know about Jerry, but I know Cheryl and I have had a 420 adoration for some time. Right. It's like the statement, "It's 5:00 somewhere." Well, it's 420 somewhere. So we're always behind that. So, folks, as always, we appreciate each and every one of you. You're not just a viewer; you are part of the community. You're part of the family. All right, and we need to make sure that we are taking care of each other. We're watching out for each other. And, you see something that's wrong, don't be silent about it. If you see someone that's putting themselves in a situation they could hurt themselves or they could get themselves in trouble, don't be afraid to pull that person to the side. You don't have to do it on public format. Pull that person to the side, speak to them directly, and let them know, hey, what you're doing can get you in trouble or it can get you hurt. If you need help, reach out, let everybody know. All right. We care about each and every one of you, and we love the fact that you're all here to share with us and be part of this. So, Jerry, any parting thoughts here?
No, we will never give up. We will never surrender.
Cheryl?
Never surrender, never give up.
All right, there you go. Thank you all for joining us. We appreciate each and every one of you. Put the link in there a little bit ago if you want to jump over and see Nat with Streets. Make sure you jump on over there, do a room raid on that. And as always, thank you so much. Life is short. You get one shot. Make it count.